from the betting capital of the world. Giving raw and real breakdowns of mixed martial arts and recapping UFC events like no one else, with producer Martin on the ones and twos and combat sports betting expert Effie. You're listening to Any Action Sportscast. Any Action Sportscast. So put your headphones on and let's take this podcast to the next level.
This isn't a podcast. It's a sportscast.
What is up, guys? We are back. It's your boy Effie with Any Action Sportscast, here to go over UFC Vegas 73, Mackenzie Dern versus Angela Hill. We are coming off a profitable week where we won 1.25 units, finally snapping our losing streak, man. Felt good to finally win some money on some UFC. Been winning money on some other sports, and my main sport's UFC, so I need to be winning money on my UFC bets, so it felt good finally to come, in the green. We would have won more money if Gabe Green didn't decide to just throw the game plan out the window and smoke like meth before the fight. I don't know what that dude was thinking. Runs face first into Brian Battle's fist. Strange fight, but strange card, really, man. We had refs that are just showing it, points getting taken. Crazy card. We have Anthony Smith, talking to home invaders in the octagon, just crazy stuff. Don't want to spend too much time recapping it, but video came out late this week, had some work emergencies come up, still want to make a video, let you guys know who I have. I have 4 bets this week, man. 3 underdogs and 1 favorite. So without any further ado, let's get right into the fights. The first fight of the night will be a men's welterweight fight between Takashi, Sato, and Themba Gorimbo. I'm going with Sato in this fight. I'm not betting on him. It's a pick'em fight, minus 110 both ways. A little bit of money coming in on Themba here, pushing him to minus 115, minus 120. I don't get it, man. I don't get the Gorimbo love. I really don't think that he's that good at fighting, man. I'm not sold on him. But I'm not sold on Takashi Sato either, man. 3-fight losing streak. He's getting finished in his most recent fight by Brian Battle. A vicious head kick knockout. And it's just with Takashi Sato, man. He gives up his back way too often. He can get out-grappled in his fights. And he is fighting a higher level of competition than Themba. Themba will have his second UFC fight this week against Santos. And on the regional scene in France, he was fighting nobody, man. He was beating guys and really just beating cans. He's more of a grappler. He's okay off his back. He has really long limbs, so his legs and arms are, very useful in getting those body triangles. And that's going to be important here because Sato, if he gets put on the mat, man, he is not very good on the ground. And like I said, he gives up his back all the time. But I'm going with Sato here, man. His low output and low volume is what is making me not bet him. And like I said, he's not very good. I'm not sold on either guys. But I am going with Sato here. I don't get the Themba love. I'm not sold on him. And give me Sato to win via decision. Up next, we have Victoria Leonardo versus Natalia Silva. This is going to be a kill. And the odds reflected, man. Natalia Silva, minus 550 on the screen. She is minus 900 right now. Money just pouring in on her, and everyone's parlaying her. And I get it, man. Victoria Leonardo had a close fight with Mandy Baum, one of the worst fighters to ever walk into the UFC octagon. She went like toe-to-toe, like life and death with her. It was a pretty wild and close fight, pretty insane to see considering how low level Mandy Baum is. And now she's going to fight Natalia Silva, where Silva is coming off just brutalizing this girl, Teresa Bleda, with a spinning kick. Just knocked her out, looked really good. And before that, she got an upset underdog win over Jasmine Jasavicius, where, so everyone is pretty high on Silva here and pretty low on Leonardo. So that kind of explains the betting line here. Silva is going to be way younger, 7 years younger, a little bit shorter with a longer reach. But she's just better MMA fighter. I mean, there's no way around it. Better speed, better technique, more output, more volume. A good BJJ artist herself. But minus 900 for a women's MMA fight. I'm not parlaying that, dude. I'm not touching that at all. You don't want a fighter to come out there and break their ankle on the first kick they throw, something crazy like that. But Silva should win this fight. And if you are going to bet it, you just got to go with the approach of how is she going to win? Is she going to win a decision, submission, or a knockout? Because she's definitely going to win. And after that, you got to decide, okay, inside the distance, or how am I going to cut that minus 900 price tag down? And I think for my prediction, I'm going to go via knockout. I think that she knocks out Leonardo here in that second or third round. So give me Natalia Silva to win via knockout. Not touching this, like I said, the odds are just unreal. But she should win this fight and continue her rise in the UFC. Going through these a little fast, guys. Up next, we have Chase Hooper versus Nick Fiore. Chase Hooper comes in as a minus 120 favorite on the screen, but he's actually been bet down to the underdog. Money's been coming in on Nick, pushing Nick from a minus 105 underdog to a minus 130 favorite. And I think that people don't really like Nick. They just dislike Chase Hooper. Chase Hooper can't strike. He's not a good striker. BJJ, super one-dimensional. Good BJJ, I should say. Decent wrestling. Good ground and pound when he does get his opponents to the mat. But if he has a grappling advantage over you, he's gonna pretty much dominate you. It's wild that he's been fighting at 155. This is his 7th UFC fight, and so for 6 fights before this fight, he fought at 145. A 6'1", 145er at 22 years old. This kid was a kid. He was a young, scrawny, skinny kid in there fighting against UFC level fighters. And finally, it started to catch up to him, man. He got finished against Steve Garcia, got knocked out a bunch of times in that fight. And he had to go up, man. He just can't handle grown men at that weight class. And who knows, he might not be able to handle it here at 155. He is going up a weight class, so this is more of where he should be fighting, so I will give him that. And I will say, man, I never like when guys, unless you're someone like Charles Oliveira, that grow up in the UFC, man. By the time you get to the UFC, you should already be polished. You should already be a legit, well-rounded fighter. And Chase Hooper sort of grew in the UFC. He got better and better each time. But you can't really do that, man. These guys are high-level killers. And man, it's tough because Nick Fiore, he has good grappling himself. It's not like Chase Hooper can come out and just mop the floor with Nick on the mat. Nick, his first martial art was jiu-jitsu, so he has a jiu-jitsu and wrestling base. He's a black belt himself. And on the feet, man, he's definitely a better striker than Chase Hooper. In his last fight, he took a fight on short notice to make his UFC debut and took a beating from Matias Rebecki. Rebecki would kill Chase Hooper. But he did show he has heart, man. He has toughness. And toward the end of that fight, he started to look a little better, man. And that showed me that he has a good gas tank on short notice. He has a good chin, good cardio, and good, wherewithal, man. This guy is tough. It could be a very close fight. I understand the original opening odds of Chase Hooper being a slight favorite. More experience on his side, still developing, and pretty much has the bigger upside here. At this point, Nick Fiore has 7 professional MMA fights, and 2 of them have been against Jay Ellis, guys. I'm going to put him up on my screen right now. So Nick is 6-1. 2 of his wins have come against this guy. He is 16-108. What are we doing? Pretty insane, man. This guy should get like a Netflix show or something, a documentary about him. Like, what's the story behind all these fights, man? This is pretty wild. But also, not only did Nick fight that guy 1 time to get a nice win on his record, he fought him 2 times. Pretty wild stuff, man. And like I said, a 50-50 fight where I am going to go with Chase Hooper, man. I didn't think I was going to go with Chase. Don't like picking Chase. I don't think he can fight that good. Super one-dimensional. And also, he wears damage really, really bad. He's super pale. But he's going to be bigger here. He's growing into his frame. He's getting older. And I'm not sold on Nick, man. Like I said, I feel like a lot of people are really, really fading Chase Hooper in this fight, where I don't feel the urge or need to bet this fight. I'm just going to stand and watch as a fight fan. Nick Fiore is out of the New England cartel, so that's a very good camp. Good training partners there. But give me Chase Hooper to win this fight, man. It's going to be tough, for sure. Up next, we have Ilir Latifi versus Rodrigo Nascimento. Latifi, what can you say about this guy, man? He retired after his last win and then came back. And in that fight, he gassed out big time, man. Rodrigo Nascimento comes in as a favorite on the screen right there. It says he's minus 155. He's been bet all the way to minus 200. And even at minus 200, it's a little bit wide. And so for that reason, I'm not going to bet him or parlay him. I feel like the line has gone away from me. But I do think that he's going to win this fight fairly easily, man. I am not high on Ilir Latifi. He's a wrestler-based fighter with no ground and pound, no submission threat at all. This guy just lays on you, especially in that last fight, man. He took Alessio Oleinik down and just laid on him, man, and then gassed out. It was weird, man. He gassed out after 1 round of not doing anything on the mat. Super red flag. Now, and then he retired. Man, it's a ton of things going against him. So one thing that's going against him is that you have to throw punches to have punches land on your opponent, and that's a big problem for Latifi. Latifi doesn't throw. He does not throw any volume. It's bizarre to watch. He threw 5 significant strikes against Derek Lewis in a 3-round fight, and he just doesn't let his hands go. He's 40 years old, coming off a retirement, fighting a guy in Rodrigo Nascimento who's 30 years old and a pretty well-rounded fighter. It's not like he's a pure wrestler or a pure striker. Rodrigo Nascimento has good takedowns, good top control, and very good leg kicks, man. I think that as long as he doesn't get caught with his hands down when he throws those leg kicks against Latifi, he should be fine in this fight, man. I think that he's a safe pick in this fight, but at minus 200, it's getting up there because Latifi, if he does throw one of his 5 punches, he might knock you out, man. That's a lot to ask for, man. He doesn't throw, and he really relies on just suffocating you along the cage and getting you down and just laying there for the rest of the round. So I predict that Latifi will gas out in this fight, and Rodrigo will win a fairly easy fight. It just screams that Latifi is getting a paycheck, just there to make weight, make his money, and leave. Give me Nascimento via decision. Up next, we have our first bet so far, man. Orion Cosce versus Gilbert Urbina. Cosce comes in 8-1, sitting as a minus 160 favorite on the screen, and this fight has almost flipped, man. I'll get into that in a second. Gilbert Urbina, straight out of the RGV, Rio Grande Valley, 6-2, and on the screen it says he's plus 130, and currently now, Urbina sits at plus 100, even money, and Cosce is around minus 120. So pretty much a pick 'em out. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Urbina be the favorite by the time the fight starts. So the thing with this fight is it's a pretty 50-50 fight between two guys that are very green in their careers and not very good. They're not very well-rounded in their own rights. And we haven't seen Gilbert in a long, long time, right? So we haven't seen Gilbert since the Ultimate Fighter days where he fought Brian Battle and lost. He got finished in that fight. And he's actually going down. He fought at 185 on the Ultimate Fighter, which is common, and because the guys just want to get on the show, you know, and hopefully win and get on the show, and then they'll come down to their actual weight class, which is actually what Brian Battle did after winning the show. So he was fighting at 186 in the house, and he was undersized definitely for that weight class, and which is funny because he's 6'3" with a 74-inch reach. But at 170, if you can make 170 and have that frame, that's going to be significant. He's going to be the way bigger guy here in this fight. And we just saw Cosce in his last fight against Blood Diamond just look really, really bad. He was supposed to have a clear grappling advantage against a pure kickboxer with no MMA experience. And the pure kickboxer in Blood Diamond gave him a close fight, man. We saw what Jeremiah Wells did against Blood Diamond, and that's what I was expecting to see Cosce do it against Blood Diamond, and it didn't, man. So I have my questions about him and his skill set, whereas so do I with Urbina. But if you're giving me plus 100 on a guy that's significantly bigger, the height for Cosce, 5'11", 71-inch reach, and the height and reach for Urbina, 6'3", with a 74-inch reach. So we'll have 4 inches of height, 4 inches of reach. And I think that he's a better fighter here, guys. I'm not sold on Cosce's skill set. I think that Urbina will be able to damage him, land more significant strikes here. And I'm excited to see how he looks at 170 after over a year off, man. Almost 2 years off at a new weight class. I'm actually betting on the upside here. I'm betting on the unproven Urbina in this fight. So give me Urbina to win via knockout. I think he gets that knockout in that second or third round after Cosce, you know, fades. But I don't think that Cosce is going to be able to utilize a lot of grappling here. Give me Urbina to win via knockout. Up next, we have another live underdog, in my opinion, which is a common theme for this card. We have Karolina Kowalkiewicz against Vanessa Demopoulos. I'm going with Demopoulos in this fight, man. So I know Karolina Kowalkiewicz, you know, at one point was at the high level of her weight class, fighting champions, fighting nothing but killers, really. Then she ends up going on a really long losing streak and retires, right? But those losses were against high-level fighters that definitely would smoke Vanessa Demopoulos. But the thing is, after she retired and came back, she's been using her grappling way, way more, Karolina. She was more of a striker when she was in the UFC in her prime. And it's tough because I don't think she's going to be able to out-grapple Vanessa. Vanessa's going to be the one that's going to be looking to grapple and get this to the mat. We'll say Vanessa, a thing that I kind of don't like about her is that she's super, almost too confident in her BJJ. She loves being off her back and really trusts her sweeps off her back and trying to get in those, you know, triangles or arm bars off her back. And against Karolina Kowalkiewicz, someone with that much experience in high-level fighting, it'll be tough. But I really don't think that Karolina should come out here and light up Demopoulos for 15 minutes in a striking fight. I think that she wears damage bad. She's 37 years old, and she's up there, dude. I think with Demopoulos, even though she is 34 years old, I'm taking her, man. I think that she'll have a speed advantage in this fight. The grappling, you know, pretty 50-50. Probably give it to Vanessa. Obviously, the striking goes to Karolina. The volume probably goes to Karolina as well. And just the striking IQ goes to Karolina. But, man, she's 37 years old. I think that she is obviously past the prime. She's going over the hill now. She's in her twilight days. I'm not paying minus 150 to bet on Karolina at this fight. So, if anything, I would be looking at a dog shot at plus 125 on the money line for Vanessa. But give me Vanessa to win a decision, man. I think that, like I said, Karolina wears damage really bad. And in a 50-50 fight, give me Vanessa Demopoulos at plus 125. Next is a fight where we do have another bet on. Oh, by the way, we took Gilbert Urbina for 1 unit at even money plus 100. And in this fight, we are going with Slavakaz, Viacheslav Borschev to beat Maheshate for 1 unit. We bet 1 unit on Borschev at minus 160. And this is going to be a banger, dude. This is going to be a banger of a fight. So we have 2 prospects here. Let's start with Maheshate. So Maheshate 9-2. He's probably going to be the more wild striker in this fight. He's way, way younger, which does give me pause. There are a few reasons why I didn't put 1.6 units on this bet to win 1, and I just put a 1 unit bet on this fight. And the age is definitely 1, man. So Maheshate is 23 years old. He'll be 9 years younger than Borschev. He'll be taller than Borschev and have a longer reach than Borschev. In his last fight, man, he went to war with Rafa Garcia, and that was a great scrap, man. Whereas Slavakaz, in his most recent fights, he's been getting out grappled. That's a very common thing for his career. Borshev's obviously the striker. He's a Muay Thai striker, Muay Thai coach over at Team Alpha Bell in California. And so this guy knows his stuff on the feet, right? On the feet, he's pretty much a master. On the ground is where he struggles, man. Every one of his opponents know you have to take this guy down to beat him. And I don't see Maheshate implementing that. He's a good grappler, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Maheshate can't grapple or is a bum wrestler or anything like that, but that's not the way he fights. He's a standing bang fighter. This guy's going to be a 15-minute striking fight with Borschev. Where I'm going with Borschev, man, he has more experience in the stand-up realm. He's very sophisticated on the feet. He has some very damaging body strikes, whether it be from hooks to the body or kicks to the body. And I just feel like his IQ is really, really good, man, on the feet. He does have a weird kind of bulky, stocky kind of crouch stance, but I think he's a better striker here. It's a 50-50 fight that's going to be standing for 15 minutes. I understand Borschev can get exposed in the grappling, but I don't expect the Chinese Maheshate to be the one to do it. Give me Slava Claus here, minus 160 for a 1-unit shot. This is going to be a banger. This is probably the people's main event right here. Oh, I lied. It might be this one. Up next, we have another fight, man. We're firing off our bets right now. We have Michael Johnson versus Diego Ferreira. We took Michael Johnson at plus 130 for a 1-unit shot. Yes, we bet on a 36-year-old fighter in the UFC. And it's because he's fighting a 38-year-old fighter in the UFC who hasn't fought in almost 2 years. So let's start with Diego, all right? So I'm fading this guy. This guy is definitely a better MMA fighter than Michael Johnson. He's way more well-rounded, has gone to higher levels in the UFC than Michael Johnson. But recently, guys, he's on a 3-fight losing streak, and he has taken a significant amount of time off. He got finished in the Mateusz Gamrot fight, and since then, it's been over a year and 4 months since he's fought. He's pretty inactive, man. He got finished against Gillespie. He got finished by Mateusz Gamrot, and he lost to Beneil Dariush. All three of those guys are very high-level fighters, so it's kind of hard to hold that against them. Whereas Michael Johnson, he's still fighting, man. This guy's been around the UFC for a long time. He's actually 13-14 in the UFC. He's a sub-500 UFC fighter, and I am betting on him. It's pretty wild. 21-18 as a professional fighter, and you know, at this point, we've seen what we can get from him. A pure gatekeeper at this point. Very quick, very legit striker, and a good defensive grappler, man. He has very good sprawls, and that's what I feel like needs to happen in this fight. Michael Johnson needs to sprawl and brawl, and he'll win this fight. Diego Ferreira pushes a crazy pace. In the beginning of the round of that fight, he's going to be looking to get Johnson down. Well, not the beginning, the whole fight. He's been trying to control Michael Johnson the whole fight, get him down, and either get a submission from there or accumulate control time minutes and win rounds that way. And I don't think that he has a gas tank to do that. I think after the first round, we're going to see Diego fall off significantly here. On the mat, I am giving him the very big-time advantage on the mat. A submission threat is live, definitely, from Diego in this fight. Michael Johnson can't afford to put himself in a bad position and get his back taken, but I think that he's going to be in Diego's face, keeping this on the feet, sprawling and brawling, and either finish him late or win a decision here. I don't think that Diego has a gas tank to keep Michael Johnson off him for 15 minutes, so give me Michael Johnson 1 unit at plus 130. After that, we have a banger. Man, these last 3 fights are straight bangers. Andre Fialho versus Joaquin Buckley, man. I'm going with Buckley, man. There's a lot of red flags in this fight, which, you know, kind of pushed me away from betting or parlaying Buckley, but I do think that he will win this fight. So right now, the odds have Buckley at minus 200, Fialho around plus 155, plus 160, and I get it. Buckley, though, is coming down to his probably natural weight class at 170. He's been fighting at 185. He's been very small, dude. 5'10 with a 76-inch reach against guys that are weighing 185. I mean, you can see some 6'3 dudes, 6'4 dudes at 185. Pretty big guys at that division. Whereas now at minus 170, he should be having a little bit more physical attributes in that weight class. He has very good speed, very good footwork, very good output, and a lot of power, man. I like this guy. The one red flag, though, is he got knocked out 4 months ago by Chris Curtis in a fight where he was winning the fight, gets caught by Chris Curtis and gets put out, right? So now he's dropping a weight class only 4 months ago, and I gotta wonder about his chin, right? So you're super dehydrated. He has a ton of muscle on him, and so I gotta wonder, like, where his chin is. If he's durable enough to take Andre's best shots, he will win this fight. The thing is, Andre straight cracks, dude. One-touch knockout power for sure. Very clean striking, but just, you know, kind of a low output guy. The thing with Andre is he has very, very bad defense, very bad striking defense. He keeps his head on the center line all the time. Slow, plots forward, flat-footed, and just looks for that one knockout punch. He's not really a guy that throws in combinations or sets his shots up. He's okay being the counter puncher here. He's fine being off his back foot because he knows, like, all it takes is one. You just check left hook you into next year, and that's the thing with this fight. Joaquin Buckley, if these guys get into the pocket and get into crazy wild exchanges, it's just going to be a matter of who lands first. And at minus 200, that's a big risk for me. So I am picking Buckley. I think that he will knock out Andre Fialho in that second round. But I'm not betting him because I do respect Fialho. And I will say, he might be a fraud. You know, he comes in the UFC, knocks out a guy that's not even in the UFC anymore. and then knocks out another guy that's not in the UFC anymore in Van Camp, and then loses to two really pretty good fighters. The Jake Matthews knockout, man, that was legit. We had Jake Matthews in that fight, and one of those times where I think that Fialho continues to get exposed here by higher level guys, man. Buckley coming out of one of the best gyms in the country, Extreme Couture. Or no, sorry, not Extreme Couture. Dale from the Urban Survival Tactical Defense guy. He's training Buckley, so you know he's getting good training in. So yeah, man, give me Buckley to win via second round knockout. Up next, we have a women's catchweight fight between Emily Ducote and Lupita Godinez. And another underdog, man. I'm going with the underdog at plus 120, Emily Ducote. I haven't bet this yet, and I wouldn't be surprised to see me eventually do bet this. It's because, man, Lupita Godinez is probably the better MMA fighter, better well-rounded fighter in this fight. But she has low fight IQ, and I can never get over stuff like that, man. I'm talking about the Angela Hill fight. We all know what happened in that fight. She lost via decision, and she gave a striker's fight, man. She gave Angela Hill the type of fight she wanted by shooting one takedown the entire fight in a fight where she had the grappling advantage, man. It was super frustrating to watch, and just kind of confusing, man. After that, she came back and fought Cynthia Calvillo, got the win where it was a split decision, and I thought she lost, man. We had money on her in that fight, and I thought we had lost that ticket. The judges come in, the card gets read, and we win. And I was like, oof, man, I don't know about that. And she's fighting a, pretty hungry girl, up-and-comer, 29 years old, same age as Lupita. But Emily Ducote, coming off her first UFC loss against Angela Hill, where she was just mismatched, man. There's nothing you could do. Longer, taller fighter in Angela Hill, more sophisticated, more experience, and definitely more volume, man. She got outstruck in that fight for 15 minutes, kind of got worked the whole fight, and it's a tough look, man. I just think that Angela Hill is better than Emily Ducote. Nothing really else you could say much about that fight. Before that, fought a veteran, Jessica Panay, who's, over the hill at that point, but stopped all her takedowns, looked good against a savvy veteran, and was Invicta champ, I believe, before she got here, man. She had a crazy, crazy head kick knockout on the regional scene, so I really like the striking from Ducote, man. She has good output, and Lupita, I mean, she has more output than Lupita, but Lupita has the power advantage for sure on the feet. She has experience at a high level, and she definitely has a grappling advantage over Emily Ducote. But it's just that I don't think that she's going to use it because I can't trust her fight IQ, especially after the Angela Hill fight. Give me Emily Ducote to win this fight via decision. And this is a catch weight, guys. At 120, it's not 115. Lupita is on short notice, so she's taking this on short notice to keep the fight together. And Emily accepted. So I will say I have a bad history this year, guys, of betting on fights where my fighter makes weight, the other fighter misses weight, and then we lose money. Like, it sucks. And so on this fight, it's 120. It's catch weight 120. So a little iffy there because Loopy will be the bigger fighter here. She doesn't have to cut as much weight, but she's coming off the couch, man. Short notice. You got to imagine what kind of shape she's in. And, I trust Ducote here. Give me Ducote to win via decision. If you're out there and you have money on Lupita, leave a comment, man. I don't know how you can feel confident betting on Lupita here in this fight. So leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Up next, we have a very exciting fight as well. We're going to find a lot of answers out in this fight. We have Edmen Shabazian versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Shabazian comes in 12-3, sitting as a plus 245 underdog. Anthony Hernandez comes in 10-2, sitting as a minus 315 favorite. I believe money's been coming in on Edmen, pushing Hernandez's line to minus 280, 285. So at minus 285, minus 280, I think that's fair. I think Fluffy will win this fight, and I think it's due to his grappling advantage over Edmen, man. Edmen, super prospect, right? He's blue chip prospect, super young, comes on the UFC, makes a big splash, right? But then he gets matched up with people way too early in his career. I think knocking out Brad Tavares kind of hurt him because after he did that, they rushed him big time. They gave him, Derek Brunson got worked. Jack Hermanson lost that too. Nasruddin Imavez got finished in that fight. Crucifix, no less. And it's like, all three of those guys are high level guys. Finally got right with the win over Dalchuk Ungabili where he knocked him out, finished him, but they rushed him too much, and it's one of those things where I don't think he's a bad fighter. I'm not sitting here and thinking, Edmen Shabazian can't fight. Like, he sucks. Throw him away. He's going to get cut. He's going to be a PFL champ. No, I'm not thinking that. I'm thinking that, okay, they brought him on, like I said with Chase Hooper. He grew up in the UFC, and it eventually caught up to him. So he's trying to get back on track. He's a good fighter, man, at a good gym. He switched gyms. Now he's over at Extreme Couture. He left his old gym a long time ago, but Anthony Hernandez, man, way more well-rounded, way more cardio, way more durable, and he's looking good in his most recent fights, man. I can't believe that he submitted Rodolfo Vieira, and if you were to submit Rodolfo Vieira, you have my respect forever. Like, that's crazy. No, I get it. Rodolfo Vieira gassed out big time in that fight, but it was so wild to see, man. He's on a 3-fight losing streak, and he's looked good, man. I think that he's going to win this fight as long as he lasts that first, if he can last that first tidal wave. Edmen's really good in that first round. But if he doesn't get out of the first round, he seems to fade big time. So I'm interested to see how the young Edmen looks now, especially working on that cardio. But I think Fluffy has him here. I think that he has him everywhere. As long as he can survive that first round, like I said, don't get knocked out. But he's pretty durable. He has a good chin. So, yeah, man, give me Fluffy Hernandez to utilize his grappling advantage and win a decision here. Or even get a late submission finish, man. I'll be honest. Up next, the main event, guys. Do me a favor if you watched this far, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you think about my picks so far, my bets. And we actually have another bet on this fight. We have Angela Hill at plus 160 to defeat Mackenzie Dern. So the main event is a fight that was rebooked, supposed to be last week. Now there's a main event, which changes this from a 3-round fight to a 5-round fight. And it's a pretty, easy fight to break down. Mackenzie Dern, elite Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, like elite. If she gets you on the mat, very good chance she's going to finish the fight, right? Angela Hill, decision machine, right? Striker, more of a striker-based fighter. Definitely gonna have the grappling disadvantage to Mackenzie Dern, where Mackenzie Dern is definitely gonna have the striking disadvantage to Angela Hill. So you gotta kind of ask yourself, does Mackenzie Dern get this fight to the ground? And when she does, or if she does, what's that gonna look like? Is Angela Hill gonna be able to survive on the mat long enough for the next round to come without getting submitted? And I think she will, man. I think that Angela Hill will be able to keep this on the feet, similar to the other fights on this card, sprawl and brawl, and win this fight. Mackenzie Dern's, what really makes me like Angela Hill in this fight is Mackenzie Dern's takedowns are bad. She does not get anybody down. The way she gets you down, like, you have to kind of like fall down. You have to kind of like let her take you down. It's bizarre. Like, she has no single leg, double leg, high crouch, like no outside trips, nothing. Like, it's bizarre, her takedown abilities to try to get fights down, considering how good she is at jiu-jitsu. You would think, okay, I'm really good at jiu-jitsu. I need to work on my wrestling and how to get that in realm. But she doesn't do that, man. Her striking obviously is very bad. And then it's tough because media day comes and she's talking about how she's going through a divorce, which I knew about. But I didn't know about how Jason Perillo, her head coach, has been really focused on Luke Rockhold's bare knuckle fight recently against Mike Perry, to the point where Mackenzie Dern hasn't been working with her head coach this camp, which I think is a huge red flag. So she's talking about going through divorce, not having her coach there to train with, so pretty much training on her own, and how much of a mental battle this has been in her camp. That's a big red flag, dude, because I thought it was a pretty close fight before I learned all that information. The thing is, Angela Hill is almost 39 years old, man. She's 38 years old, and she seems to always lose really, really close fights. All the time, every time the fights go to decision, you kind of can bank on her losing. But I just think that the gap on the feet is very significant here. I think the speed, the output will be on Hill's side. Man, she has a 5-round gas tank for sure. In 3 rounds, she's putting out hundreds and hundreds of significant strikes in her fights. Just throwing them out there, man. She's putting it on a crazy pace. And I think Mackenzie Dern, to get this fight down, is going to have to catch a kick or get something lucky here to get Hill off balance, to take her down, take her back. The only really worry I have for Hill is along the cage, in the fence, in the clinch, making a mistake. I don't want her, like, obviously I'm betting on her, I don't want her to mess it up, but I don't want her to get caught, reaching for an underhook when she shouldn't have, or going for a double wrist when she shouldn't have, giving herself up and getting her back taken. Because Mackenzie Dern gets those hooks, gets that body lock on you, it's pretty much over, just a matter of time. But I think Hill survives, man. I think Hill survives every round. And the longer it goes, I think the worse Mackenzie Dern's going to look. At first, I thought the 5 rounds was going to give Dern 2 more rounds to get a Hail Mary submission. But I actually think that it's going to make her look even worse after not getting the submissions early. So give me Hill to win a decision. Yes, I know that's rare because she loses them all the time in the UFC. But give me Angela Hill to win a decision. In this fight, man, I'm pretty confident, actually. Dern just speaking like a fighter that's not going to win right now, man. I know you're not supposed to put too much thought and like input on media day and stuff like that, what fighters say. Because it's like, what else are they going to say? Are they going to say, oh, yeah, my opponent's good, I'm going to lose? Like, they never say stuff like that. Like, but for her to say, like, oh, yeah, I'm going through a divorce and it's really tough and this and that, I'm like, oh, geez, like, her coach isn't there, like, getting bad training. Like, that's kind of worrisome. So that's it, man. That's my picks. Had to come out late on the show Thursday, man. Had a couple of work emergencies come up throughout the week, but want to make a video still. So those are my predictions. I have 4 bets. Angela Hill, plus 160. Michael Johnson, plus 130. A unit shot on both. A unit on Gilbert Urbina, even money. And our only favorite so far is Borschev, minus 160 for a 1-unit shot, man. So thank you so much for watching, man. We're getting up on subscribers. I appreciate the love. And I'll see you guys next week for a recap episode because we're off next week. So got a big pay-per-view coming up. And I'll see you guys later, man. Hit that like button. Peace.
I just wanted to get a huge shout out to Any Action Sportscast. It's a good channel. You should check it out. You don't have to, but I'd recommend it.